Welcome to ABL Hot Corner, the show that brings you all the good stuff from around the Australian Baseball League. I'm Brooke Boris Kilpatrick, and with me is Jamie Janga Cloden. And this week we've got game wraps. We're going to talk about the state of the standings, and we've got our first competition, so stay tuned for that one.
Getting straight into the game wraps though, Boris. You checked out Canberra versus Sydney, which when we spoke about it last week, I think we both had our money on the Cavalry.
I think we did.
What transpired?
Well, we were terribly wrong because it was the Blue Sox who completely ran the table with a 4-zip sweep of the Canberra Cavalry and a amazing result for the ABL.
Unbelievable.
It's turned the table on its heads, and who rocks indeed, because Sydney looking the goods. So first, game one, Sydney 8-zip. Over Canberra, 11 hits to 3, and it was Alex Baylog once again dominating on the hill. He was unbelievable. He threw a complete game shutout, 9 digs, threw 7 Ks, walked only 2, and gave up just 3 hits.
Certainly not what you would have expected, an 8-0 scoreline when you know the two starters, Baylog and Grenning.
Yeah, Grenning wasn't at his best.
No.
Did okay, but wasn't at his best, so a little bit off his tucker. But Josh Dean was a man with the stick, going 3 for 5. Had 2 RBI, while Trent D'Antonio continued his hot streak. He's been very good of late. Had a 3-run home run. And yeah, the chocolates was all Blue Sox.
Yes, tide's starting to turn.
Oh, it was unbelievable. Game 2 came out and Sydney, the bats kept pumping. It's a bit of a slugfest. 11-7 was the result. Sydney taking it with 11 hits to 3. So just the 3 hits for Canberra. And after they've been just smashing the pill all over the shop all year.
That's their strength. That's what they've been doing.
Absolutely, but Sydney turned the tables. Josh Dean, Trent D'Antonio again led the Sox to victory. I think Dean and D'Antonio both had 3 hits apiece, and they both hit a triple, so sort of mirrored each other's stats for the day. Dean had 4 RBI, while D'Antonio had 3 himself, so the boys did a good job, and D'Antonio scored 3 times. Up the top of the lineup, it was the catalyst, just kept them banging.
Huge when you got Dean and Hoskins in there, middle of the lineup. He's on base every time.
Real good, yeah. So Sox took the first 2. Wayne Lundgren was probably the pick of the pitchers in that one. Had 5 digs, 5 strikeout, 1-run ball.
Just another quality inning, quality
outing, and then went into Sunday. Canberra still not knowing what hit them, and Sydney went bang, 6-1 victors again.
Yep.
7 innings, the short game. I think Reese Hoskins and Matty Smith were the men in that one. 3 hits apiece. And the starter was Craig Anderson, the old veteran, the wily veteran. Did an excellent job on the hill. He pitched 6 innings, conceded just 5 hits. And I think the biggest run that he conceded was a homer.
Yes.
So Jason Leblebijan.
That's him.
Who has been missing from our comments the last couple of weeks, but he bounced back with a homer.
Yeah, he's still floating around the league lead and all the big categories. So
yeah, he is. He's still playing well, but it's gone a little bit cold than he has been, which isn't surprising given how hot he was before. So I went into the Monday matinee, which was the school kids.
Another one for the kids.
The school kids making some noise. They were all over it today. They were screaming, having a great time, supporting their Sox, and it was all to the benefit of the Sox as they got the brooms out and swept the Cavalry all the way back to Canberra.
Unbelievable.
With an 8-2 win. Yeah, completely smashed them. I think Strong, Casada, Smith and Eunice all had 2 hits apiece, leading the charge for the Blue Sox. David Harris was the sole guy on the Canberra Cavalry getting it done. Had 4 for 4 today, raised its average to a league-leading 379.
Yeah, and league-leading by 20-odd points.
Yeah.
He is really doing well.
So he had a great day, but not too many other Cavalry boys jumped on board. And Jan Stokeland was the guy for Sydney, who's really improved of late. Went 6.2 innings, 9 strikeouts for the Blue Sox. Yeah. So magnificent effort against that quality Canberra lineup.
Not bad from the 4th guy in your rotation.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Trot out there.
So his record's now 3-1, and he's looked the goods of late. So yeah, real turn up for the books. It's turned the tables on its head with a 4-zip sweep to the Sydney Blue Sox.
Yeah. Well, you look at the Cavs. I mean, the starters obviously weren't at their best, giving up a lot of runs early in games.
Out of character.
Really set the tone. So with guys like Grenning, obviously is the main candidate, and Steve Kent, who have both been dominant. Each series, one of those guys has really dominated.
And they were okay. They just weren't at their best, and the Sydney bats took advantage.
They jumped on it. Yeah. So in terms of the power, it looks like Brisbane are becoming the powerhouse team.
They've taken the lead in most power categories after this weekend.
Yeah. Yep. They really turned it on. So. Geez, the league leads down to a solitary game now.
They were 19 and 9,
Yeah.
and now they have a 1-game lead over Brizzy, who's right in their
Just
tail.
amazing how one weekend can make
Do
a
they
change.
panic, or is it just a bit of a hiccup?
I think it's a hiccup. There's all those bats that
Too much quality?
well, too much quality, but just the fact that there's so many of them, they all had a down weekend at the same time.
Yeah.
If they can only have one or two at a time, struggling a bit, well, they've still got plenty to keep getting runs. So.
Agreed. But Sydney were outstanding now. They with the sweep, they've moved into third spot and in that sort of third playoff spot on the ladder, which will please the home fans, no doubt.
Yeah.
So ever since 1 minute they're throwing bases into the dugout and stuff, and now they're big smiles on their faces. Trent D'Antonio has been unbelievable.
Yeah.
He has been the last couple of weeks. He's led from the front, lead-off spot, getting on base, hitting doubles, triples.
Yeah, that's
on
it. Extra
bases.
bases from the lead-off spots.
Scored a lot of runs, for those guys. And the whole series, I think they out-hit Canberra 40-25. So not many teams can say they've out-hit Canberra this season.
Not by that much, anyway.
Yeah, so pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And Jan Stokeland, as we said before, at his best outing for the season, his ERA is now down to 2.88. Add him to the guys they've got, Anderson, Lundgren, obviously Baylog, who's been the pick of the bunch.
Yeah, and a good mix of arms there too.
Really good.
Baylog and Stokeland obviously racking up Ks. Lundgren's always been that big righty, and then you've got the crafty veteran Anderson from the left side.
Yep.
They've got a good mixture right across the board. They're not just trotting out the same guy every... Well, Boris, in the wake of that sweep by Sydney over Canberra, it's sort of throwing the cat amongst the pigeons with the standings a little bit, and she's really brought it all together up the top.
Yeah, it certainly has. It's thrown everything on its head. I mean, the Cavalry were looking, cruising before, 19 and 9.
Yeah.
Now they've just got that 1-game lead over the Bandits, who had a good series in the weekend against Perth.
Yeah.
And they're so the Bandits 18-14, just 1 game behind. And then we go back to Sydney, who've moved up now to just 2.5 games behind Canberra Cavalry and within striking distance.
Well, their last 3 weeks, they've had 2 sweeps and a split with Adelaide.
Yeah.
So they've just come from nowhere to be, we've got 2.5 games out of top spot.
And no surprise, they've started having some other hitters jump into the fray with Dean and Hoskins, which has been the difference.
Well, we've said it for a few weeks now that it has just been 2 or 3 guys carrying the load, and suddenly they're scoring a mountain of runs against the Cavalry, and it's shown in the standings. They're flying.
Yeah, absolutely. So Adelaide Bite sitting now 3.5 games out, just 1 behind the Blue Sox, so not out of it.
No.
With a 2-2 split on the weekend. But the Perth Heat, probably the big losers over the weekend. As we discussed, they're now 4 games out, sitting in 5th. And after we discussed what they needed was to get some hot bats.
Yep.
Bats still not hot.
Still not hot.
No.
It's just not happening. But yet they are still 4 games out of top spot.
Absolutely.
It's just amazing. Throw a blanket over them all.
Yeah. So the Aces are bringing up the rear, 12 and 20. They would be kicking themselves because once again they were in a position to win a series and just didn't do it.
Oh, but the fact is, again, it's 7 games over the course of the season. It's not great, but it's not huge, and we'll talk about them shortly, their series against the Bite, but their pitchers, if they keep performing like they did on the weekend, who knows, they could chuck a couple of sweeps together like the Blue Sox have, and who knows, it's just crazy how close this season is.
That's baseball, and right now the thing that is good is it's great for the fans because your team's still in it.
Exactly.
Even the Aces, if they get a sweep, they can get back into it, but every other team's right amongst it.
Yeah, so second half's going to be some pretty entertaining ball, I think.
Let's hope so.
Take it from me, 1 punch can be lethal. Thrown in anger like this, without warning, without any gloves, it can be deadly. 1 punch can end his life and ruin yours. It takes grunt to throw it, it takes guts to walk away.
So, Clodes, you had the pleasure of seeing the Melbourne Aces up against the Adelaide Bite in Melbourne.
Yep.
How did you see it?
Well, as I just said before, the Aces really had the pitching going, but we'll talk about game 1 to begin with, and that was the Thursday night specialist Stephen Chambers.
Casey?
For the Bite. No, Stephen. So, he threw game 1, as he does every week, and more often than not Thursday nights for the Bite.
Solid. He's the Thursday night specialist,
Yeah.
like I said. He loves it.
He does, and John Kennedy suited up for the Aces, and Melbourne took an early lead, but Adelaide scored a couple in the 5th through a combination of hits and bunts and wild
Bit of
pitches.
short game from the Bites.
It was a bit of everything, yeah. So that
Dropping it down.
that was enough to get him a couple of runs and take a 3-2 lead. Chambers threw 5 before handing it over to the bullpen, where Cody Kursky and co. Say that quickly.
Cody
10 times.
Kursky and co.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. No, but not saying that.
He closed it out with a 5-out save. So,
Solid.
which was interesting, considering they've got some options now at the back of the pen with Luke Van Mille.
They're mixing it up a little bit, aren't they?
Yeah. But no, he got 5 for the save. So that was bite 3-2 in game 1.
Very well manicured beard, Cody Kursky as well.
Yeah, well, it's working with his pitching too, so
It
just
is.
keep it rolling. Something I'm not familiar with this crap on my face at the moment.
Fair enough too.
Friday.
It wasn't having a dig at all, close.
No,
just
not half.
really throwing it in there.
No, of course. Friday night. Well, that was exactly what Joe Vavra would have ordered. His boys started swinging the sticks right from the very start. Took a 4-0 lead early, before dropping another 4 spot in the 5th. So
Put a bit on doubt.
Yeah, hard to get back from an 8-0 lead. Logan Moon grabbed 3 hits from the lead-off spot.
A couple of moon shots in there.
Correct.
Yep.
Or 1. And Tanner Vavra, he drove in 3 as well. So it was those 2 guys that were leading the offence. But the big story of the night, though, was Matt Larkins.
Brilliant, wasn't he?
Unbelievable. 115 pitches was all he needed for the first complete game shutout in Melbourne Aces history.
Fantastic.
There's been complete games, but that was the first shutout.
Wow.
Yeah, so...
Good research, clothes. All over it.
Well, the commentators were talking about it on the game, so I didn't have to look too much into it.
Okay, fair
Yeah,
enough.
can't take all the credit there.
Good work.
But, yeah, so 7 strikeouts, just 4 hits allowed. So pretty convincing performance from the big man.
Yeah, magnificent.
Yeah, so that was game 2 done. Game 3, the momentum just kept rolling for the Aces. Yasuo Asano and Dallas Gallant for the bite. They were the pitches, and it was a bit of a pitcher's duel. But then as we got to the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th innings, Melbourne scored in each one of those.
Yeah, punched it out late, didn't they?
Yeah, so they eventually went home 7-1 winners. It was a pretty convincing performance in the second half of the game, and it was that man Moon again.
Moon again.
Yeah, you got another 3 hits. Tanner Vavra this time. Him, Darryl George, and Jack Barry. They also had multi-hit games, so sharing the load, which was good to see.
Yeah. Another Johnson from Trey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his 6th one for the year, so he's sitting equal second now, I think, with Mitch Nielsen. In the home run lead.
Sano, very good again.
Gave up just 1 run. Yeah, through 8.
Through how many strikeouts for the big fella?
9 Ks in 8 innings.
Nice.
And then just handed it over for the 9th to just let someone else get a go, basically, after all these complete games.
Well, he's racked up plenty of innings this year, so probably not a bad idea just to get him out of there before his arm falls off.
So yeah, well, it's not Christmas yet, and he's thrown a lot. So turning to game 4, the last one, Mike McGillivray got the start, and once again was another quality start.
It was a good game actually. It caught a bit of this one. Will Lee for the young lefty.
Yeah, well, he struggled last week.
Yeah, but he's bounced back pretty well, didn't he?
He did, yeah. Well, both of them, both McGillivray and Lee, both threw 7 strong innings and came out 1-1. So neither of them ended up featuring in the decision, but 1-1 from them. And then Sam Street came in, local Melbourne
kid.
lad. Yeah, he came in, threw a scoreless 8th for Melbourne, but got in a bit of strife in the 9th, and he got the first out, but then loaded the bases. So Coach Vavra came in and brought in the big gun Virgil Vasquez
on Virgil
to try and close it out, but he managed to get the ground ball from Corey Lyon to hopefully be a double play ball, but they couldn't turn it, so the run scored.
Knocked it in, yep.
And Cody Kursky again brought his beard out for the 9th, and
well coiffeured.
Was able to seal the deal, so a 2-1 win to the bite meant a split series.
Yeah, I think looking at the Aces, I mean the pitching was very good for them, and I think
good.
We've spoken about Sano and Larkins before, but they've added a little bit. They look pretty good. Allowed just 6 runs in total. The starters gave up 5 of them. So I mean, you take that every series of the week.
A 4-game series.
Yeah,
every time.
I mean, sensational. But so my call last week of Vasquez going to the starting spot in the hill was maybe a bit off the mark.
Yeah, well, maybe. I mean, if these 4 guys can keep throwing quality performances 5, 6, 7 innings at a time and give their team a chance, who knows? Hand it over to Virgil in the 8th perhaps for some longer saves.
The problem with Melbourne is their execution in tight games all year has left them wanting a little bit.
Well, we spoke about that early in the season, didn't we?
Yeah. I mean, that series, I reckon they would have expected. Watching about the 7th and 8th inning on the weekend, that game 4, it felt like Melbourne were going to win it and win the series 3-1.
Yeah.
But Adelaide found a way and Melbourne didn't.
They just couldn't get over the line with those well, they only needed, as it turned out, 1-2 runs, and that would have been enough. Just
Yeah.
couldn't quite get the big hit when they wanted. So
Exactly.
yes, but I guess the wash up for the Aces, pitching was outstanding all weekend, and the added bonus now is Shane Lindsay back in the fold.
Yeah, good ad. Good ad.
So if he can solidify that bullpen with Virgil, we're talking maybe 7th, 8th, 9th, covered by those two guys.
Yep.
The starters get the job done. Who knows? The bats fire up a bit, and
They just needed one big series. They haven't been able to. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's been the same for years, hasn't it? They don't seem to have the. I don't know. It just doesn't happen. They just don't seem to be able to sweep a series, have a big series win, and that's what they need. They get one of those, and they're not far out.
Yeah. We never know. They've had a couple good games in this series. Maybe that's enough to get the ball rolling and fire up into Christmas, and then take it in the second half. But like we said in the standings, they're still within reach.
Yep.
Yeah.
And for the bye, probably a 2-2 split wasn't a bad result, given they're still trying to fill that hole with Geordie Cowan going home.
Yeah, that hurt.
Lead-off spot was shared between a few blokes. I think Brycey was in there at one stage. Yeah, Brycey, Schultz, and even Petty.
Yeah.
Kyle Petty, the league-leading home run guy with 11.
Yes, crushing it.
Is in the lead-off spot at one stage. So they're just trying things out, trying to get through. I believe there's help on the way. There's talk of single A shortstop from Texas. So it'll be a teammate of Travis Demerits coming over to fill the void.
So perhaps
unconfirmed, but that's the rumour around town. So we'll see if they can bring him over and shore up that lead-off spot.
Could be handy, yeah. So and same as shortstop too. They're still trying to fill that gap with the on the weekend. I'm talking about they couldn't really nail it down with one guy.
A couple of guys had a crack at it. Picard.
Corey Lyon was shuffling between the outfield and shortstop. So if this bloke does come in, it could just really shore the whole lineup up.
Yeah, agreed. So overall, probably not bad for the bite. Melbourne hanging in, but just by a thread.
Very much. Yep. Okay, well, the last series for the weekend was Perth at Brisbane. How'd you see that one, mate?
I saw it with Brisbane continuing to roll. They were impressive. 3-1 win over the Perth Heat, and game one, the Bandits had the home cooking going. They pounded out 14 hits, which is a lot of hits. They beat them 8-4 Heat down. Riley Unruh had 3 hits and 3 RBI for the Bandits, while impressive Justin Williams, who's been very good all year.
What a season he's having.
Launched his 5th homer for the season. Winning pitcher was Rick Teasley, who we like.
We
and
do.
he whiffed 9 Perth hitters in just 5 digs. He conceded just a 1 earned run.
Which isn't necessarily how he always rolls. He's
no,
not
he
always
hasn't been a big K guy,
no.
but he was on his, had his stuff working.
He's doing something right.
Yep, had his stuff working. And now Luke Hughes did hit a home run. You know, I did say he was going to pick it up.
Yep.
But that wasn't much else after that.
It's a start. It's a start.
Home run, but it wasn't enough for his visitors. So, yeah, Brisbane rolled in game 1. Double header on Saturday. Went to split. Perth won the first one 2-1, and then Brizzy came back, won the nightcap 5-3. The 7-inning contest, it was Edwin Carl. Well, I think we said this last week. I think I said Perth were going to win one, or it was going to be Edwin Carl.
Well,
so I might have nailed that one.
You can lock that one in each week. The way he's
so
going
he
now.
was fantastic. 5 hits given up only, but he was sort of the opposite, the anti-Teasley this weekend because he only threw 3 strikeouts, which for Edwin's have been a bit unusual, being a high K guy.
Yeah.
But did a really good job, conceded just a 1 earned run. Offense was all provided by Alan Desan Miguel.
Desan was the man again.
Desan was the man with a couple of Johnsons. He hit 2 bombs in the game for their 2 runs, 2 solos.
Yeah.
That was it. That was all she wrote.
Well, that's how he's been doing it this year in bunches, hasn't he?
That's all we needed. So they just turned to the Desan man and got it done. A few chickens just flying past back there. Don't worry about that. So his 2 home runs. They were out hit 5-4, but Perth got the game.
Still got it.
Yep. So it was 1-1. Late game. There was a bases clearing double by Mitch Nielsen. This guy.
That guy.
Right there. Mitch got it done, cleared the bases, and that was enough for the Bandits to get out to a 4-zip lead early. It's first dig, and they didn't surrender the lead.
That's pretty handy, isn't it?
Jason Jarvis on the hill, very solid. Got through it. Gave up 9 hits, but struck out 5. His 3rd victory for the season.
And that's what he's been. He's been solid, hasn't he?
JJ, very good, very good. Once he gets a lead, forget about it.
Just keeps rolling.
Shuts it down.
Yeah.
And Ryan Searle locked it down at the end, doing what he does. Pitched 2 inning save again.
Got over his little hiccup last week.
Used him like that a couple of times.
Yeah.
When he's rolling, just leave him out there.
Well, why wouldn't you?
So he went through 2 inning save, and the Bandits got over. Had another W.
Yep.
Going into game 4 on the Sunday. The Bandits bookended their 14 hits from game 1 with another 14 in game 4.
Why not?
Why not? Pretty handy. So they ran away with an 8-2 victory. It was not a contest at all. Despite Perth leading 1-0 very early, Bandits came back. A strong 2-run bomb from Max Tisson. Got it out of there. Pinch hit homer by Tyler Bennett as well. So they were very good. Braylon Jackson, Donald Lutz, a couple of RBI each. Lutzie's starting to roll a little bit.
Starting to swing it a bit.
Starting to get it in there.
Yep.
Very handy. And the Bandits bullpen, outstanding. Tristan Crawford went 3 digs, 3 Ks.
Yep.
Really good. And Eric Green, he just dominated the lefties. I was watching him.
Yeah.
He was throwing it hard. And I think he had 3 lefties in a row. None of them even looked like it.
He's channeling Graham Lloyd throwing against Freddie McGriff back in the day.
He looked really good. The crime dog.
Yeah.
Pulling out the crime dog call.
Yeah.
Well played.
Why not?
So yeah, Greeny was good, and obviously Timms and Searle at the end closed it out. So Brizzy rolled through 3-1, and Perth, not much going on.
No, they're still close enough.
Oh, for sure.
But
for sure.
yeah.
They just can't get it rolling like they have in the past. But so for Brizzy, they gained some ground on the Cavs. Obviously, with the Cavs getting swept,
Yeah.
they're right behind them
It's
now.
real
One
close
game
now.
out.
Yeah.
And I reckon they've got the belief they can go either way. When we spoke to Ryan Searle and Justin Erasmus the other week, right behind us, they were saying that they had a really good feeling amongst the players. They felt like they were tight bunch, tight unit.
For as good as they've had since
Yeah,
they've
as
been
good
there,
as they've had, and I think they've got some talent, and with that belief, I reckon they can do
They're a big chance.
do some damage.
Well, Justin Williams for a start, he's just a huge factor in that
Yeah,
lineup.
absolutely. The pitching staff's been solid. They're a big power threat. They've hit 32 home runs now. They've overtaken Canberra with the home run lead with 32. Nielsen's got 6, Williams got 5, and they're a pretty good tandem.
Bunch of others with
They got a
2, 3, 4.
bunch of guys here, Tissenbaum, these guys can lead the yard. So
Well, he has to with that name, doesn't he?
oh, well, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Very handy. So, but flip side,
Yep.
like we talk about their hitting being amazing, they lead the league in ERA now.
Yeah.
Snuck that up just quietly, so 3.56, and Sydney's the only other team under 4, so
Yeah.
they're doing it on both sides of the ball.
Well, that starting rotation is very set now with Teasley and Jarvis leading the way there, and the bullpen. Obviously, we've spoken about that a number of times. So that they are a very good all-round team.
Icing on the cake is they've been rocking the old school Brisbane Bandits hats, the blue ones.
Nice.
That's got them rolling, which looks pretty sweet. Rumour has it they had the whole uniform going, but for some reason the tops were made a tad too small and they didn't quite fit. So we might see them a bit later in the season.
The second run of them, you reckon?
Yeah, possibly. So what about the Perth Heat? Where to for them?
Well, just the same stories every week. They got to get the bats going.
They're a bit stiff. They've hit 14 home runs, but 10 solos. So
I know. So yeah, but you got to get guys on base to change that, don't you? So,
absolutely.
And even just on base percentage, not just batting average. They're down in all of those categories. So, and it's the veterans, I suppose, that are still not where they need to be.
Yeah.
You look at Hughes, you look at your Matt Kennelly guys like that. That we know that they're
having a
they're
sniff,
quality
but
hitters.
they haven't hit that. They haven't got that roll going yet.
That's
which
right.
We know that it's going to happen. But
yeah. Well, you look at guys like Desan, we keep talking about him. He'll pop up with a multi-homer game and big games like that. So I just need a few more of them from different blokes.
Yeah.
Now
the good news for Heat fans out there. Hit me with the good news for Heat fans.
Well, the all-time record after Christmas, 69 and 33.
Pretty tidy. In the last 2 years.
15 and 5, 16 and 4.
After the break.
They really hit their straps after the break.
I don't know what it is. So is it just the Christmas feed they have, the big Christmas pudding?
Oh, they sit down, they have their feed of turkey, they whack a bit of extra custard on the pudding.
Custard?
Yeah, and then it's bang for the second half.
No, just standard salad either. They was throwing the croutons in there.
They just love a big feed to set them up.
Yeah, so maybe it's just, I don't know what they do at Christmas time. Maybe they go into Little Creatures and have a couple of beers down there.
Why wouldn't you if you were nearby?
But the boys have been the team to beat after the break the last couple of seasons, so there's certainly hope out for the heater, the happy heaters out there.
All the happy heaters, well, they could be happy if they need to do turn a few things around, and she's going to be interesting at the end.
Absolutely.
All right, that's on at the show for hot hitters, flamethrowers. What do you reckon? Go with flamethrowers first, mate?
Go with the flamethrowers first.
Who you got?
Oh, my boy, Matty Larkin for the Aces.
How good was he?
Magnificent. 8-zip win over the Adelaide Bite. 9 innings, 4 hits, 7 strikeouts, 1 base on balls, shutout W. He was magnificent.
Unbelievable.
What about yourself?
Alex Balog.
Oh, he's on again. He's been in it quite a bit. Massively.
Oh, he's having a huge season. Well, same scoreline for his game. He had an 8-0 victory.
Almost identical.
Yeah, over the powerful Cavs. But yeah, like you just said, 9 innings, 3 hits, 7 Ks, only a couple of walks for the shutout. So two phenomenal performances
against
right
that lineup. Incredible performance.
You would have got some decent odds
You
for,
would have.
for a Canberra shutout.
Yeah, absolutely would
Gamble responsibly.
Gamble responsibly. Honourable mentions?
Well, I'm going to go with Edwin Carr.
Why wouldn't you?
Because he's my guy.
He is your guy.
Another 7 innings, picked up the wing, giving up only 5 hits. Like you said, strikeouts down, but who cares?
Don't want to sound
Still
like
getting
like an Aces booster.
But who have you got?
I'm going for Yasuo Sano.
Was he?
He was insane
That's what I
again.
thought.
He was magnificent. 8 innings, 5 hits, 9 Ks, 1 base on ball. Gave up just a 1 earned run and got the W.
Yeah. Another one we've mentioned already, Craig Anderson.
Yeah, love Craig Anderson.
Crafty lefty, we'll go with. He was solid again for his.
Which normally means you don't throw it hard when they say that.
No, well, he doesn't.
Yeah.
Compared to these
Crafty.
other guys,
Crafty.
throws harder than me.
Yeah.
But, any others?
Yeah, Tom Bailey.
Tom Bailey.
Bit of a ringer.
Is he the guy that did the weather?
6
back in the
innings.
day?
He might have been. I know Joe Bailey does more than the weather, but we won't go there.
Stay
6
for the
innings,
summer,
8 hits, 3 earned runs and 7 Ks for Tommy, for the Heat. Very good, very impressive.
And I'm just going to throw in at the end there too the game I spoke about, Wilson Lee and Mike McGillivray.
2 bounce backs in that game because
Yeah.
both guys have had their struggles. Although Will's only been pitching for a couple of weeks, but he struggled last week. Both guys really, really promising.
Cool. And after that, I don't think there's many other guys that did pitch on the weekend that we haven't mentioned.
That's probably true. Hot hitters.
Logan
What
Moon.
about hitters?
Logan Moon.
Logan Moon.
He would
See,
be-
you're an Aces booster now, mate.
I'm a Logan Moon booster. He's on fire. He's
was,
having
yeah.
a great couple of weeks actually.
He's the guy that broke up the standoff last week.
That's
You know
right, with the
how
foul
when
ball.
we had the foul ball in the national anthem
That's
standoff,
right.
so maybe that got him going.
Bit of friendly fire to his own guys in
Yep.
the bullpen. Had
He's
nothing
kept-
out there.
He's kept smashing it.
Well, 8 for 15 over the weekend with a home run, 4 RBIs. So he's certainly makes him a hot hitter right now.
Yep.
You?
Trent D'Antonio for the Blue Sox. Not only has he boosted my fantasy team over the last
That's
couple
the
of weeks,
important thing, isn't it? Yeah.
which is very important for you guys playing fantasy out there. But 6 for 12, 6 RBI, and he scored 7 runs. So he set the table the whole series. Up the top of the lineup, he was magnificent. So he's my boy. Leadoff spot, he's got those guys hitting behind him, Hoskins, Dean, etc. Yeah, just set the fire for the Blue Sox to get that sweep over the Cavs.
Well, I'm going to throw an honourable mention into one of those guys, Josh Dean. He just keeps hitting, keeps driving in runs. He's just been phenomenal.
Yeah.
I know we spoke about Hoskins a lot last week, but Dean had a big series this week.
He did.
And he's as consistent as they come.
Yeah, very good hitter. I'm going for Goofy as well, getting him in there. Dave
Oh,
Sutherland for Brisbane. He only had 8 at bats, but he had 5 hits.
Making the most of
So,
his game time.
quality game time when he got in there.
Yeah. Last guy is another friend of the Hot Corner, Landon Hernandez.
Landon.
He, the same as Sutherland, didn't play every game, but same as Goofy, went 5 for 8, made the most of his opportunities, and that included a couple doubles, and he's bumped his average now. Is up to
He's
339.
snuck it up a little bit, hasn't he?
He's been good for a hit or two a game, it seems lately. So he's just quietly sneaking up the rankings there.
Yeah, good. When they need those sort of extra hitters with Cowan not being there, they need guys to jump in and get a few,
Or even found himself batting in the
bang
four
a
hole.
few here and there.
Yeah, when Petty went up to the leadoff spot, he was batting in the 4 slot. So obviously impressing his coach, Steve Mintz.
Champion. All right. So, what about some predictions for this series? Massive series this weekend because with the table sort of squishing up and getting tight,
Yeah.
it's who wants to take the lead going into the next round?
Well,
Who's going to be?
Well, Brisbane at Canberra. I mean, that's just an absolute
That's it.
cracker.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Oh,
It's
I know.
Brisbane at Canberra, top 2 teams.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, fantastic. So, who you got? How do you call it?
How do you call it?
You can't.
I'm going to say Brisbane 3-1, and Justin Williams is going to hit 4 home runs for the weekend.
Yeah, nice.
I'll go with that.
Boosting up the Bandits there, mate. It's the hats. I'm telling you, it's the hats.
They're good hats.
I'm going to go for the split. I think Canberra, a bit of soul searching during the week. And they're pretty good at home.
I say 3-1 with no confidence
No,
whatsoever.
well, I mean, who could tell? The way the results have gone the last few weeks, you're gamble responsibly. You'd
Unbelievable.
be a brave man to pick a winner. So I'll go for the split. Next series is Melbourne Aces travelling to the red hot Who Rocks Sox.
Well, that's another tough one because Sydney have gone from sweeping to splitting to sweeping, and you don't know what they're going to do. And Melbourne's pitching was unreal on the weekend. Could have been a lot better just with a couple extra hits here and there.
Yeah,
so
agreed.
you can go first for this one.
Oh, damn it. All right, I'm going to go for Sydney 3-1. I think the hitting's been hot enough to keep going. And I think Melbourne, away from home, seem to struggle. So 3-1 Blue Sox for mine.
I was going to say the same.
Well, you shouldn't have thrown to me first then.
I want to copy you, Boris. I'm going to say 3-1. The pitching's just on fire. And like we say, the bats are starting to fire up. So yeah, they're looking good.
Last series, Perth at Adelaide.
Perth
right
at
here
Adelaide.
behind us. It's going to be rocking. Get your butts down here to Nord Oval / Cooper Stadium. Come and watch the Bite play the Perth Heat. Who, I mean, after last year's playoff series, the place was rocking here. It should be a ripper.
It will be a huge series. For me, Adelaide 3-1.
Adelaide 3-1.
Yep.
I reckon it's probably on the money. You've got to give Edwin Carl his W, of course, because
that's a given.
he's the boy. I'm going to go the split. I think Perth are going to finally get some hits. Bats will get hot. It's a tough one to call. 2-2 for mine. Split the series.
Harder to pick than a broken nose.
Harder to pick than a broken
That old
nose.
chestnut.
Absolutely, mate. So that wraps it up.
Yep.
This week, boys, get on the Twitter, get on Facebook. Let us be interactive. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you like about the show, what you'd like to see on the show, what you don't like about the show. We can take a bit of criticism. We're big
Only a
boys, we
bit.
don't mind. Yeah, just a little bit.
Bit
Just, you know,
fragile.
yeah, don't get too nasty. But yeah, get on Twitter. We're going to have next week. We'll have some tweets of the week. So be interactive. We'll see what we like. Post them up. You can have a look at. You get a bit of airtime yourself. And also, we're going to have a competition running this week on Twitter. So keep a lookout for the ABL Hot Corner Twitter feed. We'll be having a comp, and there's going to be a 75th anniversary Claxton Shield hat to be given away.
How do I enter?
Mate, you get on. I'll tell you later in the week.
I'm in.
Keep an eye on it. I don't want to give it all away, but keep an eye on the Twitter feed, and things will be happening. So till then, this is Brooke, Boris, Kilpatrick, Jamie Janga, Cloden, signing off. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks a lot.